Hello, Leo. How's everybody doing today? I hope that you're well. And wow, there are a lot of messages that I can't wait to share with you. It's been a busy morning here as I've been sort of compiling all the channeled notes. And yeah, I have just a really positive feeling going into this. So does Apollo. So first and foremost, I'd like to welcome everyone, whether you're brand new or you're returning. I so appreciate your presence here. You help make this all worthwhile. And I'm going to put down this little resplendent creature so we can get started today. As I said in chat just a moment ago, this will be for the month of September. It's for the sign of Leo. You can use it for your sun, your rising, and your moon. If you're pretty experienced with astrology and you know other aspects of your chart, go ahead. You can use it for that. But if you're first time here and you're not that into all of that, just focus on your birth sign. And one of the cool things about the way that I read is that basically, if you show up, even if you're in a different sign or if it's in some small part of your chart, I am clairvoyant and I channel, so relevant messages will come through. And a lot of times what I'm saying now may also be relevant right here and right now for the live. So it's about 6 weeks of information that's flowing through. It's not just September. And I think all of you have started to notice that. And my style has kind of changed over 2020 where I'm starting to just pull through what comes through. So anybody that's showing up today, you're probably going to get a relevant message. I've tailored this specifically for Leo, but everybody here, you're going to get a blessing. So let's talk a little bit about how this is organized. I have a few major parts to this. I like to begin with channeled messages, and this is something that has changed over the course of this year. I basically get up early and sit here and channel, and I do free writing to kind of help me, or automatic writing to help me basically take what I've seen in my dreams and visions and try to elevate the messages and make them more concise, and that's why I kind of force myself to use cards. Also, just a tip, if you're trying to develop your intuitive skills, when you write, there's something kind of magical with that. And it really allows you to connect with spirit. So that's what we'll do first. It's psychic information. And sometimes people will say reading starts here and it's when I do the cards. No, the reading starts when we start this part of it. This is the psychic download. The second part will be the tarot cards, and I've already selected a deck for you. This helps me fine tune a lot of these messages. Plus it opens me up for the folks that have showed up today. I can pull some additional notes for you. A lot of times it's some of the great opportunities. Sometimes it's the challenges, and it's all the little choices that you get to make. And I am here not to tell you your future, but rather to give you sort of opportunities to navigate the energy that's available to you. There's a big difference. I want to empower you. The future is yours to create. I'm here to help you. And that's what we're going to do. So that was part 2. Part 3 is the expanded forecast, where I specifically will delve into health, wealth, love, and destiny. And after that, I'll do a quick recap. And then we get into the soul path in the part 3. And as we do that, the soul path really helps you go a little bit deeper into not just what's coming through for September or what you might be experiencing in the live feed, but also the remainder of the year and maybe something bigger in your life. And I'll look at the past, present, and future influences here, and we'll try to basically wrap them up a little bit because 10 cards can only do so much. These last 3 that I'll pull will really help set the tone for the rest of the year, and also for the meditation, which is the final part of this reading that helps us bring it all together. I use a little bit of sound therapy with a singing bowl, and it's pretty all-encompassing, as you can see. There's a lot to kind of parse and go through. So I hope you stick around. All parts bring a different sort of perspective. And I'd like to begin by saying thank you to both Ryan and Maria, who helped me maintain this nice, safe space. They're your moderators. They can answer high-level questions about where to find things or what I'm talking about. So big props to them and thank you. Also, I would like to quickly address that I don't do Q&A here because once I start channeling, it's very distracting. We had a cool thing the other day where you could actually hear an EVP on the last reading that I did. I guess it was Cancer. And it's in the pinned comment. Someone called it out. So a lot of times I'm tuning into stuff, and we actually heard like a guide speaking on that. So interesting things happen sometimes. But I have to stay focused so that I can channel all of that and keep things organized. But if you want to say thank you, I'd encourage you to go ahead and use Super Chat. There's a little icon next to the emojis, and it's a great way to say you like what you're seeing. I do notice it, but I can't answer the questions or I'll lose my train of thought. What that eventually does is it helps me buy cards. buy equipment and show up here to help you out. So it's just basically supporting the channel. So if you want to do it, I appreciate you, and I'll put a little thank you in that pinned comment once this is gone on replay. Only question, or the only thing that I'd like to encourage, is that everybody keep comments relevant as well, just so that Maria and Ryan don't have to do as much sort of corralling. You're welcome to talk about anything that I'm talking about, but if it gets off topic or if it's just you kind of dominating chat, they'll have to step in and help out. But otherwise, let's get started, because there's some cool stuff and I want to get into your messages. All right. So it started a couple nights ago, because basically as long as I have to prep for a sign, I start receiving messages. And what my guides whispered in my ears as I was kind of waking up was two things. They wanted me to look up a native tribe known as Onondaga, and they said Oot-Kwa-Tah. And I was like, I don't know what the hell this is, but I'm going to write this down really quick and see. And it reminded me of something that I'd actually seen in a movie, and I just didn't remember the name of the native culture. And so I was like, okay, let me look this up. So here's what this is about. Many of you know a constellation, the Pleiades. It's also known as the Seven Sisters or the Seven Daughters of Atlas. And it was in ancient times used chiefly in nautical navigation. It's a beautiful constellation, by the way, if you haven't seen it. So you can do a Google, look it up. It's beautiful. There's a lot of myths about how those seven stars were created. They're kind of like star factories, because if you look at them, there are these beautiful sort of mists of light around them, or the sort of like clouds where all of the stars are created and galaxies are created. But Atlas was sort of the god that was had to kind of hold up the weight of the world, or carry the weight of the world, whatever. And these were his daughters. And one of the myths in Greek mythology or Roman mythology is that they were put up into the sky to help kind of console him, or so that he can see them. There was also myths about possibly people being jealous of them, and they were turned to stone, and then they were turned to stars. But the beautiful myth that my guides reminded me of was this Onondaga myth, or I should say origin story, because who knows how this was all created. But there is this story of a village. There's actually like this great, it's probably like a kingdom or a village, but there are these children basically that are ignoring doing their chores. And every day they do this sort of like secret dance that they've created. They're basically playing, but it's a very sacred dance. And somebody comes to warn them, saying, you need to stop doing this, because it will bring great harm, or it can cause something to happen. And of course the kids are like, whatever. And instead of doing their chores, they keep this dancing up. And one day they're hungry, they go back home, and the parents don't want to feed them. So they just go back and they start dancing. And the energy created with the dancing kind of brings a emptiness within their stomachs, within their being, and they start to raise up, they elevate. And they keep dancing and dancing and dancing until they forget about their chores, their village, their life, and they kind of ascend into the stars. The parents try to throw food, try to bring them back down, but the children are already gone. They're now children of the stars. And then they become that constellation. And whenever you see a shooting star, it's one of the kids coming home. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. I really liked it as I was reading it and listening to it. And what I liked about it too was it was kind of showing what happens sometimes with children and parents. The parents didn't want to listen to them. They weren't necessarily connecting with them. The children weren't listening to that sort of elder voice of reason that was saying, don't do this. They weren't doing their chores. They weren't doing what they're supposed to do. And they were just being kids. But what I like about this is there's magic with this next generation of children. And a lot of us are those kind of indigo or star or oracle children that don't quite fit in. And sometimes we feel like we're lost, or we've gone into our own places and we're looking for our cosmic family. Well, you found it here. This is one sort of cosmic tribe. You don't have to go all the way out into the Pleiades to feel like you're home. But what I'm getting from this story on a sort of tangible, grounded level is it's really going to be difficult for some of you to connect with family members this month. So if you're a parent and your children are having difficulty not being able to go back to school, or don't know what to do, even if they're older and they're trying to figure out college, or they've graduated and now this is the world that they're in and it's kind of chaotic for a while. It's not going to be this way forever. It's really important to try to be loving, supportive, and really listen to them, because in the myth, the parents could have stopped what happened, but they were disconnected. The children could have also listened as well. So it's 50-50, both whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you have children, or whether you know people that do. Basically, we want to tune into people around us and realize that there might be a sort of generational or experiential gap. And so, you can still have that paternal or maternal guide, or so I should say, sort of energy, even if you don't have children. So whoever in your life looks up to you, just put a little bit of extra time and effort to try to be there for them, because it feels like there could be a disconnect. It also reminded me of that myth of Icarus and Daedalus, where Daedalus was this great inventor, and he created these basically wings that you could fly with. And he showed his son how to fly, but told him not to go too close to the sun. He didn't listen, and it didn't end well. But what's beautiful in both of these stories is that it's possible to reach the stars almost. You can get really high. What you want to be able to do this month is pace yourself. Don't try to do everything on your own. It would be good to listen to advice and guidance from others, especially those who are experienced. And I think one of the things that you want to do this month is to temper impatience. I didn't write that in the cards, but it's something that I would infer. So let me pull all of the cards up. That was my summary that I've been kind of thinking about and meditating on. So now bringing it to very practical ways, but the myth was beautiful and I wanted to talk about it. Family matters are really what are going to be, for many of you, front and center. So whether your family's alive or dead, it doesn't matter. You could still be dealing with some of that. Maybe you felt like those little kids in that village where the parents weren't listening to them. So this month, some sort of validation or healing could happen for you. This could be chosen family, cosmic family, or bloodlines. For me, family is an umbrella for people that you care about. And I was just talking about that constellation. So again, if you want to look it up and do a Google, that's Pleiades. That's how you spell it. Seven Sisters is what it's known as in mythology. And the native culture is Onondaga, and this is how they call out the Pleiades. Oot-Kwa-Tah, I think is what it is. And it's basically an origin story about that sacred dance that I talked about. And then what I basically said here is that you can reach the stars, just be ready for the trade-off or the consequences. And I think that one way that you can make sure that you don't go too far too fast is to stay grounded in your purpose, in your plan, in your sort of goals. Listen to the common sense of yourself and of others, and guidance from others, and make time for family. And again, that kind of cuts both ways. Don't lose your sense of direction. Sometimes we all get carried away in something, and it's not necessarily that you're going to have this cosmic dance and go into the sky. Sometimes you get carried away and you forget someone else may need you. You may not be the one that's getting lost. Maybe the other person's lost because you're kind of busy with work. So just don't get wrapped up in something too much. On the bright side, and I always like to focus on the positive, we have a lot of hope with the next generation. And with all of you that are tuning in today, you're already kind of star children. But we all speak a little bit differently, right? And we have to find ways to communicate. What I try to do in this channel is I can go there and I hear things, I see things, but I try to make them tangible. I try to elevate and also ground the messages for the two different types of people that are here. You can do the same, okay? The next thing that I saw in dreams and meditation was, it came through in dream symbols. And it was a strange sort of thing to see. I was looking out at a street and I saw all of these mattresses, but they needed to be cleaned. And for me, mattresses, it was symbolizing what you take to bed at night, basically your the feelings, the thoughts, the arguments, and it's also about intimate connections in your life. So that's the symbol for me, what it was kind of coming through. And I think that some of us have a chance this month to really clean our karma and clear the energy between intimate relationships in our life. We were just talking about all of these family matters, right? So this in particular would coincide with that. And I would say, because of the world in which we live, we don't know how much time we all have. I mean, that's always true. It could be a lot, it could be a little. We don't want to end a conversation with something mean or something hurtful or something that you would regret. Try to not walk away that way, or if you've had an argument, try to clear the air. You won't regret it. It's not that you have to say, I'm sorry, just say, I don't like the way we ended it. Could we talk? I don't feel good about that. I don't want to go to sleep tonight on an argument. Can we agree to just meet tomorrow? And I love you. I'm sorry that we did that. Let's talk tomorrow when we're on like a kind of a clean slate. God forbid if anything happened, at least you know that you left it on a good note. Also, you're going to sleep better. You're both going to heal, and you're probably going to be able to get to that good place. So yeah, that's what my guides were showing me with that. So clean the karma. Also for just a very practical thing, I've talked about this a lot. Please, if you've had a difficult breakup or if you've been having a difficult point in your life, clean your bed sheets and get rid of the comforter, get something new. Go in there and really clean it out, because the bed also holds a lot of energy. So this was a literal and also sort of a figurative sign that something intimate needs to be cleared, and also something possibly even in the bed needs to be cleared up. Sleep with a clean conscience, and the only way to do that is to really make sure that things are in a good space. For the next vision that I saw, I basically saw something positive happening for many of you. It could be a job interview, it could be a recognition, it could just be some chance where there's more visibility. But you seemed unprepared when I was tuning into it. Literally, I saw that you were barefoot and everyone was dressed up around you, and you hadn't put as much preparation into it. The barefoot stuff actually has more to do with how by the way, I have shoes on, and I also have shorts on. But what happens in coronavirus times is people aren't kind of like, you want to make sure head to toe that you're dressed, and dressed for success, because you never know when you're going to be asked to step up. And I think for you, you can be comfortable like I am, but you want to be ready. And if you're going to be presenting something to senior people in a company, or if you're going to talk to someone in your family that you care about, go a step further. Put on a button-up shirt, put on a jacket, wear some nice slacks, like really be ready for this, because we've gotten a little bit too relaxed, and you could miss an opportunity, or you could feel underprepared for something. So whatever it is, I want you to remember how you used to be, like 6 or 8 months ago, and make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. That's why I was looking at the feet and the shoes. Everything has to coordinate, and it also has to do with your grounding and just feeling confident. Because a lot of times, the colors that we wear, the clothes that we wear, they don't make us, but they can help enhance our personality or our confidence in ourselves. So when it comes to presentation and interviews in particular, that kind of stuff's important. I don't spend a lot of money on clothes, but I try to wear things that, look professional and feel good. And I think you can at least do that much. It's important right now. Even if you're Zooming all day, you never know when that little lens is going to come to you and you're going to have to talk. So just feel good. Shave, wash your hair, stuff like that. It's important, okay? So you'll never regret over-preparing. Dress for success, head to toe. Stay grounded and don't allow others to sway you from your bigger purpose. And this is going to be a part of the next message that I have, which was I saw like all this mist and fog, and then I saw people doing stuff in the background. It was a smoke screen, quite literally. So avoid smoke screens and distractions. Focus on really what's going on. A lot of times people will kind of, try to get your attention so that, as they're diverting it, they're doing something else in the background. So you want to stay focused and don't let them get the better of you. Speaking of diversions here, I have divergence here. I saw what felt like a friendship, but it could have been also a really strong love relationship or brother-sister kind of energy. But it also was intimate. But what I saw was there was some sort of close bond that was like you two were going your separate ways. And you can go your separate ways, go your own way, like that old song, but keep the communication open, because I felt like it was more of like an 8 of Cups moment where you need to have space, you need to sort things out, but you might want to come back together. So try your best to stay open, to stay connected. You might be surprised what a year or two might do to kind of make that a better relationship. So I saw kind of like a sabbatical on some sort of a close relationship, and a chance for it to be healed and maybe even improve in the future. And that basically sums up our beautiful kind of cornucopia of messages today. I really like the mythology elements that were coming through from my guides, and I had to do a little bit of research this morning to find the story. But it's a cool story. You can check it out. I did a summary, so apologies to anyone that's part of the Onondaga Nation. I just tried to do high-level summary and then also pull through the messages that were relevant for today. So there's more to that story, and you should look it up and read it. And I love learning new things like that. It's always cool to see a different perspective. So let me just kind of clear up all the cards here. There's a lot. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to put them in the same place like I usually do. So I'm actually going to put them on the ground here because we have a lot. So give me 1 second to move the cards. And then we're going to get into the tarot reading. So just a quick note that as I get the cards here ready. I like to remain quiet just so that I can channel, pay attention to the layout of everything here. And don't worry, afterwards, I'll talk about each and every card, and sometimes I'll pull the camera down. And when I do a review at the end, you'll get to see everything for a while. So just hang tight and let's see what's coming through for the month of September. Interesting how we see the children and then the soul rising. It's very close to the myth. Okay. So I always enjoy seeing kind of correlations between channeled messages and the cards. We'll talk more about that in a second. I'd like to begin with the catalyst. And for me, I pull a few extra cards, obviously, but the first one that I look at is, we were talking about navigation. This would be sort of my North Star when I'm looking at all these cards. It's a way to find connections, commonalities, and also to stay in the highest energy. So we have a mountain, but you see the reflection of the mountain ostensibly in the water. And what I see with this also kind of reminds me of an iceberg too, where you're looking at just the very top, but you don't realize necessarily sometimes how much there is beneath the surface. So with a mountain, there's a lot also beneath the ground that we don't see. And I think what this month is going to offer us is a chance to start to reveal, but know that everything that's going on in your life right now is kind of like this image where there's a lot more going on than you might understand. So if there's anything difficult, we're talking about familial type connections, you don't necessarily, even if it's someone in your own family, you may not know the whole story. So take time to get to know what's going on, and listening is so important, but it's hard to do, right? To just kind of be quiet and let the person finish, and maybe even give them extra space after they finish so that they feel appreciated and maybe they can add to it. And I know that one thing that for me that I've learned as I get older is there's great power in just sort of leaving those spaces. You'll learn a lot. You can see if someone's nervous. You can see if they're hiding something. And it may be that extra space that helps you help them or heal them. The mountain is also, for me, really symbolic of being at a certain point on your journey. So some of you may be at the beginning where you're looking up that peak and thinking, how am I going to do this, right? This is a little bit overwhelming. Some of you may actually have already achieved some things, and this is a chance for you to look at how far you've come, celebrate that, and enjoy a little bit of a downhill sort of, it's kind of like if you're riding your bike downhill, you can drift for a little bit and just enjoy that coast is what I was trying to think of. So take some time to get perspective. Don't let the perspective freak you out if you're going up the hill, though. One thing that, I used to hike a lot in LA. When I would kind of be on the trail, I just try to enjoy what was around me. And it wouldn't be maybe until I was one third or one half the way up that I would take a moment to look back. Then it was really inspiring. I wasn't looking at how far I needed to go. It would be really cool to look back and be able to see the city from a different perspective. We can do that figuratively with our lives too. So take some time this month and don't focus so much on tasks at hand, people around you with the smoke screens, all that stuff. just take a moment to really look at how do I feel, what's going on, how far have I come. This is going to help you get your perspective. Okay, and in the subtext on this one is stand your ground, it says as well. So if there's something you want to fight for or do, go for it. We have the Empress here in the outcome. She's reversed. So part of that message is you might have to take the reins or take control from someone or to do something. But we'll get into that in just a second. All right, let's go to the center. We have the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is upside down. I want to pull it upright so we can kind of see what's going on in this particular illustration. So in this one, it's not so much about you. We notice that there's somebody else that's kind of causing the stress. Usually with Nine of Swords, I would say it's never as bad as it seems, or you could be stressing out about a worst case scenario, etc. With this one, it feels like there's someone else in your life, and you could be either one of these characters. The person on the balcony, it seems like they're not being appreciated or supported, or maybe this person has in some way kind of let them down because it feels like that person's running away crying. This person seems like maybe too proud or unwilling or incapable of kind of communicating. So breakdown in communication seems to be a big factor in many of you when it comes to stress this month. There's still the typical meanings of this card where I would say, how well are you sleeping? Remember what I was talking about earlier, though. This actually ties into the channeled message, which was like sleep with a clear conscience. And the only way to do that is to kind of clear the karma or to clear the air before you go to sleep. So I really feel like it's about things that have been said or things that have been done and trying to make sure that before the day is over, that these things have been resolved, like to let it go. That's why the card is upside down. It's release. Of course, you want to mind your sleeping environment. And because of the visualization that I was given before the reading, for you, I think it has to do with how old is the mattress? How supportive are the pillows that you're sleeping on? How conducive to sleep is the environment around you? Is there light leaks from the outside so the city lights are coming in? Is there clutter all around you so that you're actually attracting dense energy around your bed? Is the TV on? I know that I'm a stickler for this, but in the bedroom, you can watch it for a little bit, but turn it off. Put a sleep timer on because you don't want that in the background. And it's really best to not have it in your bedroom. I have a TV behind me that I hardly use, but in my bedroom, I don't have one, so that I can have just darkness and quiet and rest. So clear up your environment a little bit. And I think that's going to be really important to just general happiness and good sleep. All right, stress management as well with the Nine of Swords. It can just be you getting in your headspace a little bit, or someone else projecting into your energy, because that other figure in this card could also be just telling you things that you don't need to hear. If it's just critical but not constructive, let it go in one ear and out the other. All right, we have the Eight of Pentacles on top of this, which is reminding you there's bigger and better things to be focusing on. This is growth, development, sustainability. And this also has to do with the smoke screen that I brought up earlier in the channeled messages. So somebody this month could be trying to give you this smoke screen to kind of pull you off your path. And I don't want you to let go of something that you've worked really hard on, because there's a lot of benefit from the Eight of Pentacles. To me, anything that you put into that, you get back. It's a very reciprocal card. 3 and 8 of Pentacles are good for learning. The 8 of Pentacles is more of an apprenticeship card. The 3 of Pentacles is more of a mastery. I know that for whatever reason, they're kind of flipped. Usually the higher you go, the better. But in this particular instance, I feel like you're just wanting to finish something. You're getting a lot out of something that you're doing. You owe it to yourself to complete it. It could be anything from deciding to, be healthier to going to school. We talked about that earlier. It could also just be enrichment in different ways, because you don't always have to have a tangible monetary or resource output from the 8 of Pentacles experience. It can simply be expansion for the sake of expansion. Someone asked the other day, what do you mean by expansion? I mean like knowledge and energy and soul expansion, okay? Let's go into your deep past. And for many of you, as I'm looking at the deep past, and the past is going to be relevant right here and right now. So we have the 7 of Cups here, and very different illustration than what you would normally see for the 7 of Cups. 7 of Cups for me is usually about opportunities in front of you, the ability to brainstorm, coming up with ideas. For this, it's really about relationships. There's a lot of relationship energy here. So you have choices. Who are you going to invite to the table here? And that's what we're kind of looking at. Who's worth investing your time in this month? Are these cups draining you or filling you up too? So when you're looking at your key relationships in your life this month, this is encouraging discernment about who is worth picking up the phone when they're calling. Are they just complaining? Are they asking you about you? Are you guys arguing? How is the interaction going? When you're working with someone at work, do they have your back, or is it always just coming over and telling you, hey, I need this, or where's that? Like, look at the kind of interactions with people and try to heal them. Or like when that person does that, say, I'm fine. How are you today? Like, let's talk a minute before, let's connect. I can do this for you, but like, let's check in, and I want to talk about the other things that's on my plate. And you can kind of like remind them that you're a person too, and that like it needs to be balanced out. You don't want to be passive aggressive with that. You could just say, hey, I've got a couple other things. Let's talk for a second before you just drop that off on my plate. Can you take something? I'll do this, but how about you do this for me then? Get the reciprocity for people that aren't naturally doing it. The other thing is to explore and keep an open mind when it comes to making new friends. And I know we're in a strange time right now where, it's going to have to be through electronic means for most intents and purposes, but you might be able to make new connections, or it might be at the grocery store or the bank, because there's not a lot of things that we're doing socially. So I see some new people coming in, some old people maybe going out, and some relationships changing. You're at the head of the table and you're deciding who you want to be in your company. It's a very different interpretation of it, but I like it because it's all about choices, and the Seven of Cups always is choices, okay? Love that we have the Queen of Cups, and we basically saw the King and the Queen here at the head of the table. So this is a good month for relationships. If you're in a relationship, you can go deeper into that. If you're single and happy, you have an attractive energy that can help you, whether it's work, whether it's social interactions, it's fine. If you are retired and widowed or widower, this is showing me that there's a chance for love again. But also it's a very independent card. So what I believe when it comes to love is I've said this month already, but it's important to repeat. The most important relationship is the one that you have with yourself. The most important opinion is also kind of like that of your own. Like, are you happy with yourself? Do you love yourself? If you do, then you're going to attract other people that can see that same energy in you. I'm not talking about overly inflated egos or narcissistic behavior. I think it's just self-acceptance and joy and love and celebrating what you bring to the planet. That's what I'm talking about here. And if you can be there, then you have a very attractive energy. And I see things improving across the board. So however you want to utilize that, there's an attractive force for you, okay? An important thing for you to do this month is to focus on what you want to do. I mentioned earlier, I have to pull it off the floor because we had so many cards here, but focus on the task at hand. So with this, the Magician is a great card for multitasking, but just because you can doesn't mean you have to or you should. So when the card is reversed, it's saying, why don't I, like the Magician has all four suits. I'm just going to choose this and make it my focal point, or this and this. I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to finish it, and then I'll do the next thing. So making sure that you're not trying to cook the entire meal at once because you don't want to. You have to do it in phases, just like you see on the cooking shows. Otherwise, something's going to get cold before you're ready to eat it, and it's not cool. Or if you cook something too soon or too fast, it's not ready. So basically, think of that metaphor and use it in your manifestation this month, and think, I really want to do something well, rather than scattering myself across like 10 different things and doing half-hearted job. All right. We have the Five of Wands in reverse. Five of Wands is always a card that I think we look at and it's like, okay, did I have to get that one? But what I like about this is there's an ability to really move things forward. The reversal of this shows me also that with this sort of group energy, notice how they're not fighting each other per se. Well, actually, they're pushing at one person. What I would say is if you all get together and move, then you can actually get a lot done. If you're pointing fingers at one person like they are here, then it's not going to help. So remember, it's a team. Not everyone always holds up their end of the bargain. I would, rather than sort of attack that person, I would assign them or encourage them or try to educate them if that's going on. If you're feeling like you're being kind of battered or beaten down on, whether it's like a lack of encouragement or literally people are bullying you, that's something that you want to bring up and take control over and stand up for yourself. It's important to fight for things that are important, and that would be a fight worth fighting. But it's something where you want to go to get some support, so you're not just kind of sometimes this is a no-win situation. Now, when we look at it just as an element of like what to focus on, Five of Wands just says, keep working. You're doing a good job. You don't always see it when you're doing it. It's like we were talking about with the mountains. You're hiking. You're only looking at what's in front of you, and it just feels like work. So just keep working, and you'll notice progress over time. Partnership, we have the King of Cups here. We have the Queen of Cups here. This is from the past, though, the recent past, and this is you. This is why I was talking about that divergence of relationships. There could be someone that you love, but you just need to kind of like figure out where this is at. Or maybe you've already had the requisite space and now you're coming back into the convergence instead of the divergence. So I kind of see figurating going on with the relationships, going away, coming together, going away, coming together. We didn't get the Eight of Cups, but we might as well have with what I'm seeing visually. So I guess for you, the question is, are you happy with your current relationship cycle? Either being in a relationship, being single, or having an on and off again sort of thing with somebody, whether it's a friendship or a love relationship. I just see a cycle that needs to sort of have more of a grounding on it. So if it's that on and off, decide on or off. You can communicate with that person, but I feel like they have to actually listen to your ultimatum this time around, if that's what it is. And on the bright side, King of Cups in your ego is amazing, highly creative, highly attractive, and who cares about that person from the past, because you can pull anybody into your table that you want. There are so many choices. A lot of times when I read for people, I will spend maybe a big part of the reading focusing on one person. And I'm like, but what about the other options out there? And so my message to you is there's so much more, so many more people that you can pull into your life. If somebody isn't ready or willing, they've already shown their colors, right? Their true colors. And accept it. When people tell you who they are or express what they want, it's not your job to try to make them love you or see you, or that's a very kind of controlling energy. Instead, think, well, I'm so grateful now that I understand that this person doesn't want me. I'm going to focus now on people that do, and I'm also going to focus on myself. Maybe there's things that I can work on to not need that kind of energy in my life. So you've got so much to love this month about yourself, about what you can do. Focus on that. We also see higher love. He's got a dove there on his hand. So this is about higher love. You could be calling it in. That doesn't mean it happens here and now. That means that Apollo's hiding under the chair, I think, somewhere. But when I called in my little puppy, he's a puppy and he's 5 now. I've had him about 3 years. But 2 years before I got him, I kind of went out into the cosmos and talked to the stars and said, this is the kind of energy that I want as a pet. And I waited until I got a message, and then I went to find him, and he's a rescue. So I don't know his whole backstory, but the amount of years that I waited was about how old he was. And I feel like that was the little star child that I called into my life. You can do that with the soul on the planet. You can do that if you're pregnant and you want a baby. You can do that if you want a pet. You put a higher sort of message out. I'm ready for this. And I'm going to work on myself. You let me know, universe, when I'm ready, and let me know when they're ready, because I don't want a teaching situation to come through. So love yourself, do something creative, express yourself, live in your truth. You could meet love now. You might already be in love. You could be putting it into a project. But what I want to see is your heart open, flowing, and happy. And do what you need to do to kind of get to that space. If there's someone in your life that's bullying you or pushing you away from that, again, it's probably more their projection than yours. If you're in a relationship, it's time to get honest. We have the Moon card here. The Moon card is about hopes and fears. And in this one, we actually don't see like a wolf and a dog. We see like a woman and an animal. So this is about kind of going into the instinctual side and talking about what you're afraid of. And notice here that we also have like 2 portals. Kind of feels like they're coming from these almost like Stonehenge type portals. To me, it feels like a star portal. So for some of you, there's a new opportunity this month to, again, redo the old stuff or walk through a new door and try something different. And I think that's the divergence. And it doesn't mean you don't love the person or you don't want to do this. It means that a lot of times, if it's a friendship or love situation, the karma has kind of played out. And I feel for some of you, you're at that point where it just sort of feels like, I think we've done this enough, and I've got enough of a feeling of what's going on that I don't need to repeat it. On the bright side, the moon allows us to see things that we desire, that inspire us, that on a very, very sort of instinctual level that we know we need to do, so that it can be a revelation. It can help us find the star in our life, the star being us and our higher purpose. So I feel like if you can go into those secret desires, if you can go into the fears, if you can go into the anxieties and figure out, like, can I do it? What do I want to do? What am I doing? This can be a soul searching card that will help you figure that out. And that's kind of your assignment this month, is to figure out, am I happy? And it's a big question. Like, you might have to look at all different parts of your life to answer that one. And is what I'm doing helping feed into that satisfaction, that happiness? And what I'm doing in my relationship, in my job, in my retirement, like, is there something that I need to focus on? That's an overarching theme that could be like the big catalyst for all of September. I'm trying to get signs on the right path. And this has been a very disruptive year, ups, downs, back, forth, kind of opening, closing. Literally, it's kind of been all over the place. Now, more than ever, it's important for you to have the focus that you need to kind of navigate and really make sure that you can maximize the opportunities at hand. All right. On the bright side, as we look at hopes, fears, and opportunities, we have the Six of Wands, which is success, which is cooperation, which tells me that when you stop kind of like picking on one person or allowing yourself to be bullied, or when there's alignment that happens, now instead of all that energy going on kind of like people fighting, basically, it's almost like they're rowing a boat here. They're able to move in the same direction at the same time, and powerfully so. With the Six of Wands, don't worry about success because it looks like it's out there on the horizon. All that's required is for work, continual work, and honesty and passion to be in your life. And then the development of whatever you're trying to do will happen, and then the support and the acceptance should be there. If for some reason the environment's a little wonky because the moon showed up in the environment, and that could be morale, whether it's morale in your house or in your office, or even just in your thoughts, you need to kind of look at that first. You have to have that sense of hope or kind of community. And if it's absent, then it might be time to move on from wherever you're at. Again, so it could be a living situation, it could be a working situation, it could be a community, so maybe a move is on the horizon, etc. All right, your final card is the Empress. I don't care if it's upright or reversed. Empress and Emperor are great cards. The Empress is especially auspicious because she's able to make things happen. There's the divine feminine or fertile energy, which means she has the Midas touch. She can touch something and it grows. Kind of like the Queen of Wands has that sunflower in the desert. The Empress has the same ability, like, I can make anything happen anywhere. The reversal of this is saying, focus that on your life. The magic is if you can not worry so much about what your neighbor, what your daughter, what your sister, what your friend, what someone on television, some celebrity is doing. What are you doing? And how is it helping you? Put the lens internally and put the power in your own sort of periphery and manage your life to the maximum this month. The Magician was reversed. The Empress was reversed. These are power cards. The upright cards were showing me your ability to connect with other people. So you don't need to worry about that so much this month. Focus on you. And as you start to do that, even better things will start to come in your life. And, I'd like to see some more resource cards. We'll see if they come through when we do the soul path portion. But we do have the Eight of Pentacles. I just feel like right now it's not so much about profit. It's about internal development, expansion of thoughts and vision, and then taking accountability and ownership. If there's anyone in your life that comes through as the Empress reverse, which can be very sort of like a helicopter mom or a boss that is micromanaging, your job is to sort of stand up and say, no, I've got this. Don't worry about it. You focus on you. I've got this. And I mean, it's a boss. You can't always do that. You can just show them, yeah, everything's good. And maybe at some point, if that's consistently happening and you can't communicate with them, again, it's a push to find a better place. In a family, you can't do that so much, but in a job, you can. In a family, you have to keep standing up and asserting, I don't need that. I don't want that. That's not allowing me to grow. Focus on yourself. I do think at some point it's okay to say that, depending on your age. If you're 6 years old, no. But if you were like 60 years old or 20 years old or 30 years old and people in your life are still kind of pushing at you, remember what that the vision was that we were talking about with the Pleiades, the children that were dancing and kind of the parents and the children disconnected. So at some point they were out of reach. That's another piece of that. You don't want to push someone away, right? So just remember. All right, let's look now at the expanded forecast: health, wealth, love, and destiny. In the health area, we have awaiting results. So some of you are impatient, but this is not bad, actually, what I'm seeing here. We see that you're putting the right and required amount of energy into making something happen. This is like the Seven of Pentacles, if you will. And Seven of Pentacles takes time for growth and development to actually happen. So I would say know your limits this month. And this is going to hit on multiple areas. So it's in health. So when we're looking at the body, don't push yourself too far. And it's frustrating because in most countries and most states and provinces, gyms and public areas of fitness have closed down. So when we do work out, sometimes we don't have the supervision or the equipment, and we either go too much or not enough, and we're kind of, it's like elastic. Your body's going to snap. So don't overdo that. When it comes to working, also don't feel like you've got to take it all. As we see here, someone trying to do everything and then also take the abuse from other people. That's not good. Focus instead on saying no, having good limits. And when it comes to improving finances or recovering from a difficult period, whether it's health or, again, trying to overcome debt or something like that, it takes a while. Sometimes as long as it took to get into that situation, it can take to get out of it. So just give yourself time and focus. Focus and stay positive on that. And I think that's really important. Other things that we already covered, but I'm going to highlight because we're looking at health, focusing on your sleep and stress management, not allowing yourself to be bullied or others to be bullied. You want to stand up for things like that. If there's any fears that are going on in your life and you need to talk to someone, finding a way to do that. So there's a lot of emotional stuff that's really coming through for your sign this month. Looking at wealth, which is not just money, but how you approach opportunities, whether you welcome them in, how you feel about yourself. It says answering the call. The card was reversed. So some of you have been receiving messages or have an internal sort of desire to try something. And I guess the question for you to think about is, what is holding me back from going there? Is it a fear of abundance? Am I getting pushed in another direction? Or is somebody just not giving me permission to do it? Whatever it is, I feel like you still are going to answer that call eventually. The sooner you can get through that door, the better. We see a lot of doors and portals for you this month. We see it here as well. And for you, it's a choice sometimes between fighting that fight or moving on. And I think that's what we're seeing here, is that choice. So if you want to start a business, if you want to quit your job, if you want to go back to school, if you're ready to change and repackage your skills and try something different with what you've already learned, it's time to start thinking about how to do it. So that when we see the time is now to start planning. It doesn't mean that you're just going to pick up the job and say, or pick up the phone and say, I quit this job. You have to plan it out. I talked about this the other day. It took me 2 years to figure out how and when to stop the corporate career that I had. And it's taken me almost 5.5, 6 years to develop what I'm doing now. Things take time to do, but you have to just show up every day and keep pushing it forward. I'm not overly concerned about your money because we got a higher monetary card there with the Eight of Pentacles. I think it just means keep your eye on the small details because that's a contractual card too. And it means just look at the fine print for anything that you sign this month. There's a lot of work to be done too with the Five of Wands and the Six of Wands, but I see success. See things through to completion. Use your passion, use your leadership, because you have a lot of leadership cards: King of Cups, Queen of Cups, Magician, and Empress. So you have the ability to inspire others and to lead others, okay? Now let's look at the two very interesting cards that definitely tie into what I was talking about with the Pleiades. So when we're looking at love, it's actually familial relationships that came through. It says your love life is being affected by children. This can also be a sort of flashback, if we think of like Five of Pentacles, to you as a child. Did you receive the love that you needed from friends, from family, from siblings? Because your child experience also absolutely factors into your love experience as an adult. So healing the past will help the present. Working with children in your life now could also be a healing experience. So teaching or service or whatever. Now, the interesting thing is I was talking about the children that danced their dance and ended up as the stars, and we see this sweet soul rising. So some of you might have just called into your life a really high soul, if you're a parent, and it could be challenging you in any number of ways because the child kind of doesn't meet your expectations of what a kid should be. That's not their problem. That's something you have to adjust to. So maybe you have a kid that is non-binary or is gay or wants to do something that is unconventional for the family. That's fine. That's their soul. And as a parent, you have to embrace that and grow with that energy. And it's important and it's hard. And it's like we build up sometimes these dreams of what things should look like. For yourself, the same is true. You could be the kid that the parents or the society or the teachers were saying, be a doctor, be a dentist, be a whatever, scientist, and you want to be, an actor or an artist or a writer. Whatever you want to do it, because you already knew coming into this planet what it was. The kid that we're looking at here, whether it's another one or you, is a very, very high spirit and kind of ended up on this earth and might be thinking, what? Where am I? And so be kind to people that are going through that awakening. And so if you're awakening or if there's a child in your life that's more awake than you are, it's a blessing. It's a little disorienting, but it's going to be wonderful because it says sweet soul rising. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to hate. It's just different. All right. And I feel like we need to have more tolerance for difference right now on this planet. We seem to be quite divisive and quite judgmental. Who are we to know what other people are going through, right? We don't know the whole story. And so really, this is just a card of tolerance at the end. You don't have to understand. You don't have to even love the person, but to hate them without knowing them, that's not a really elevated way of being. So I'm asking everybody to just think about stuff. Think before you speak. Do some research about things. I just spent some time this morning looking into that story so I could get the facts right. And so do the research before you start to talk about stuff. It will save you a lot of time. Your heart, your soul could open up. You'd be surprised what you will find. But what I really see here is healing with children. So something in your life is going to open up this sort of, maybe you forgive yourself, your inner child. Maybe you forgive your parents for not being there. Maybe you realize that they're just grown-up kids that had their own problems. Maybe you can heal something with children in your life. And ultimately, it's going to free all of your souls. And that's what this is about. Free the inner children, the actual children, and then help the next generation of children by making this planet a better place. That's why we're all showing up. And we have a responsibility as we become adults. Because, by the way, we're coming back to this planet. We reincarnate. And I really wish that everyone on the planet would wake up to that, because then there would be a lot less littering and destruction of the planet. Because do you really want to come back to that? It's like the messy bed that my guides were showing me. If you don't clean your bed and it's messy, that's what you have to go to sleep to every night. You don't want to do that. So let's clean up the bed on the planet. Let's take care of each other. Let's have more tolerance, and good things will happen. And those kids are going to grow up to be amazing people when they have the right support, when they have the right love. Okay. Let me grab all of these cards off the floor here and lay them out one more time for a quick review. So please do stick around. If you've just joined, this is a great time, because I'm going to go through the messages that you've missed in the channeled portion. And then I am going to bring this to another level where we look at things in the soul here, maybe some of these family healing messages that I've been picking up on prior to this. Today I had more cards than usual, so you'll have to bear with me as I realign all of these. Okay, here we go. So I just hit on this. There's a lot of family healing that's possible. The inner child for yourself, this child that I was looking at here could just be you. So allow that healing to take place. I talked about the 7 sisters, or the 7 daughters of Atlas, the Pleiades. Really what this brought to me was this myth, or this creation story from the Onondaga Nation, about the children that danced that secret dance, and the parents that didn't pay attention to them, and basically they lost their way a little bit. So stay grounded, listen to common sense, listen to your kids, listen to people around you, listen to yourself, make time for people so that you don't become sort of carried away. Because the good news here is you can and will be able to achieve your goals. Just be ready for what's coming through. Don't lose sense of your direction. Don't go too fast, and you're going to be okay. For all of us that kind of don't fit in, that are these star children, you're the next generation. You're going to make a difference. Yay, we need that. This is hope. We need to encourage that. But it seems like there's a breakdown between mentors and mentees this month. We don't want people kind of going too far too fast and not being able or capable of achieving all the beautiful things that are in front of them. For many of you, though, there is that choice. If people don't want to grow with you, you might feel like you're going to diverge, go on a different path. That's fine. Try, however, to not say or do things that leave kind of unclear conscience between you, because I want you to be able to go to sleep with that clear conscience, with clear energy and no sort of cords between the two of you. Clean your bedroom as well. The sheets, the bed, the surroundings, that's going to be really important for you. If there are any arguments or are any people in your life that are difficult, realize that some of them might just be projecting their own insecurities. Don't let that smoke screen take you off the path that's the most important for you right now. And finally, it's really important to prepare. You won't regret being over-prepared or overdressed, but you will regret not being prepared enough. So dress for success, head to toe. Make sure that you're grounded and you're ready for that opportunity when it comes. You can't afford the distraction right now. There's too much going on. The mountain is a reminder on so many levels that we don't always know the full story, that we're stronger than we think, that we're maybe just revealing the top of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg. No matter where you're at on your journey, whether you're at the top of the mountain, the base, or on the other side, look at where you're at and just give gratitude for the opportunities that you've had, the opportunity in front of you, and just connect with your guides and the divine and pray that you can make the most of it. That's all that any of us can do. Try not to get involved in petty arguments. That's a better way for me to summarize what I just talked about in the channeled messages. Sleep as much as you can this month to try to kind of open up to guidance and just heal your body, and walk away from unnecessary negative conversations this month. You've got some important things to do. Finish them. There's a lot of success that can come from this, because we have 8 of Wands and then 8 of Pentacles and then the 6 of Wands. So work, growth, success, acceptance for that work. So these are the cards that you want to focus on. The other stuff can kind of get you pulled away. Discernment when it comes to relationships. Who do you want to spend time with? Who's worth it? Who do you want sitting at your table? Because I feel like there's already some great people. We have actually what we see here. You have someone that loves you and supports you. They're already there. It's really a question of who else you want to bring in your life. And if you don't have that person yet, keep focusing on self-acceptance, self-love, living in your truth and your path and your light. And when the time is right, that person will come through. Right now, it's more important to focus on the tasks at hand. The magician is reminding you can do everything, but you don't have to. And that's what we see with this, more with teamwork. Don't bully someone. Don't allow yourself to be bullied, and don't allow anyone else to be bullied. Really making sure that teamwork is a part of this and that you don't give up because you're having a bad day. Take a break, but then get back to work. Creativity is your biggest strength this month. Sensitivity, just living in a heart-centric sort of way. Don't be afraid to talk about things that are scary. Your vulnerability actually opens you up and allows other people to connect with you. Success is at hand. Don't let it be a sort of force in your life that makes you afraid of moving forward. I already see that you're making great movement there. With this Empress card, which can be ruler, project manager, company owner, mother, it's basically saying you have everything you need to make things happen. Just make sure that you're doing that for yourself, that you're not necessarily trying to get in other people's minds or business. Let them come to you, and then also focus on healing yourself and your connection with either your children or your inner child or your mom, because maybe she didn't do everything that she needed. It is maternal energy. And if you have 2 dads, it doesn't matter. This is, you can kind of go to whoever in your head fits the role of being more sort of gentle or maternal, because that's what we're getting with that card. Same thing with 2 moms. It could be both of them in that case. All right, as we look at health, we have awaiting results. Be patient with yourself. Don't push too much. Have proper limits. Just really give yourself time to get to your goal. I think that's enough said there. And we already covered what was going on here, but I would say stress management is also super important. I feel like many of you are at a point where you're ready to try something new or you've made a decision. The answering the call card reverse reminds me a lot of judgment reverse, where you know what to do, but for some reason you're waiting for a sign. Well, here's a sign. And then just remember that the action can take longer than the decision. The decision or the acceptance of the decision is the most important part. Creating the action plan, it could be a month, a year, a decade, whatever you're going to do for the next change, but start stepping into that future and use your Empress ability to make it happen. And here we go with the last two cards again, which basically were the Pleiades here that I was talking about earlier, or that myth of the children needing to go above. The other thing with the children dancing that I'm kind of getting as a download is we can all overcome and go above our parents' limitations. That's one of the gifts that all parents should hope that their children are able to do anyway. But if your parents didn't want you to succeed or were jealous, I mean, that happens a lot, then just know that you can rise above. That's why my guides were whispering a strange kind of like word in my mouth that I hadn't heard for a long time. And I'm like, why do I have to look this up? And I read the myth and I'm like, God, it's a beautiful myth. I really, really like it. It kind of, sometimes when I read it, I want to cry because it just has beautiful imagery to it. So you are that rising star. Do something with that energy. Don't be held back by others. Don't lose yourself in the process either. And I think those are the good things that we can get with that. You're on the rise, right? Okay, so this is a month of growth and ascension. Good. Let's move along now to the soul path. In the soul path, we're going to look here at, in your deep past, we have a discernment card. So what's going on with the other people at the table? I want to figure out who you're trying to figure out. Should I reconnect with them, or what's holding you back, or what old karmic relationships coming through? So let's look at that, and then we'll look at the other two cards. So this will be looking at the past. All right, we have the Nine of Wands, and it is reversed. And the Nine of Wands is interesting because sometimes it can be really heartening. You can think, wow, look at how stubborn I am. Look at how hard I've worked, and look at how much I've accomplished. And I can totally do this. It's a sort of a signpost saying, 2 miles to the exit, right? You're almost there, but not quite. And it's those last couple miles where you really don't want to phone it in. You have to go at it 100% at this point. It's more important now than it was maybe the last 90% of the journey. The other thing with this is sometimes you get so used to the fight or flight mode, or the sort of I can do it all, that when someone comes along to help you, you don't want to help. You don't want the help. What I'm seeing here is that there's someone that could actually lend a hand, and they're not trying to hurt you. So if there's been a lot of relationships in the past where they've been disappointing, where people have let you down, and now someone's coming through, use your discernment, use your third eye. Obviously, your own intuition is the most important, but maybe this person can add something to the equation. So give them space to show their true colors, and it might help you get to the finish line faster. We saw that partnership is powerful. And so just be discerning in the partners. It's okay to wait. It's okay to have fewer people there if you love everyone at the table. Better than having a bunch of friends and you don't know any of them. So be discerning, but I do see a ray of hope that someone is actually coming through to try to help you, not hurt you. Notice how that character is looking away from the other one. So someone's like, hey, can I help? Do you need help with this? So be open to assistance. The past doesn't have to repeat its patterns this month, at least. So let's take a look now at present opportunities. And the Magician reverse is what I'm drawn to. What is it that you need to focus on? We have the Six of Cups, gorgeous. This is also relationships from the past, children, best friends, family. And guess what happened? The table's full, right? So this is a chance to heal. There could be a reunion in the making. You could also have a chosen family. So for those of us that have been rejected for any number of reasons, because we just didn't meet the expectations, because our family's negative, because they're just not supportive in the way that they need to be. A lot of times your friends, your maybe second cousins or whatever, fill that void for you. And so what I see here is a chosen family for many of you, that they're coming in. Give them time. It takes time to develop that. It takes time to fill up the table and have the family that you're dreaming of, but it can be there. It just may not be all biological. It may not all be blood. And guess what? That's better, because the blood ones are the karma relationships, and we don't always like the blood relatives, but they're sharing our names and our DNAs, and we have to see them. But the friends you choose to have, or if you're adopting a baby, you've chosen that soul. Like if you're rescuing a dog like I did, I chose that soul. So it's so much deeper, that bond between him and I, because he can feel that I love him, and I know that he had a hard time, and we help each other. And so just know that chosen family can be really, really strong. So maybe add someone into your life this month, and it could be a grown-up, but you kind of have that sort of mentor-mentee relationship, or it's like the brother or the sister that you never had. There's something coming through this month that could fill something that you've been wanting in your life. It's not a missing piece of you, but it just might be something that elevates or adds to your energy or your experience on this planet. And it may not be through blood. So open yourself up to that. Family is more than DNA. And also, just because you share DNA doesn't mean that you have to put up with stuff from the family. All right, as we look at the future, I'm looking at the star rising. I really think that's what it's about. What should you be focusing on now? We have Ace of Swords in reverse. I want you to give yourself more credit, and I also want you to get your voice out there. For those of you that are creative, because we have a highly creative card here in your ego this month, this is your chance to have that singular voice come out. Hold that sword upright, be proud about your message, share it, disseminate it, inspire, and instead of being critical, elevate. So when I get all of my messages, I was talking to a relative the other day about how I do the channel messages. Sometimes I'll get something that's scary or confusing or whatever, so I focus. That's why I show up about 2 hours before the reading, and I sit here and I'm like, okay, guides, help me elevate the message. What's the true meaning of this? So I'll sit and I'll think about it until I get the elevated message. When you have something to say or do or share, elevate your message a little bit. So the trigger was there to awaken or to make you question it. It's not necessarily what you need to share. If you have a dream and you want to work on dream symbology, the dream came through to help you see something. It's not so important about the plot of the dream. What matters is, what was the symbol that you remember? How did you feel? And what did you feel like doing after the dream? That's the most important thing. So when you keep a dream journal, you don't have to say, I went to a mountain stream and a unicorn came by, and then I forget about all of that stuff. It's interesting. But what would be more important is you could say, you know, as I looked into the unicorn's eyes, I saw this and I felt something in my soul. Like, so you could wake up and say, I need to focus on self-empowerment, or I need to find magic in my life. How can I find my magic? Because I was dreaming about a magical creature. It doesn't matter that it was a unicorn. So unless that means something to you. So what's more important is, what did I learn from the dream? Not necessarily all the symbols. As you can still write it down, because there are things like a snake, it's power, or like a mouse. It's something that's sometimes it's about like speaking up and having a voice. So, you know, because we have the Ace of Swords, that came through for me as I was talking about it. Like, I don't want to hear a little squeak. I want to hear something that's actually coming out. So keep a journal. For those of you that have a message, share it. Keep it elevated and not so critical. And a lot of us are frustrated because the world needs healing right now, right? It's a little messy. So instead of going in and saying what's wrong, which is what we see with leadership across the board in every country right now sometimes, talk about how to fix it. It's a lot more effective. Say, I have an idea for growth and improvement. We can do this. Here's how. That's so much more powerful than pointing fingers and calling names. We have to elevate the message and say, let's work together. We've got this. We can do better than we're doing. I know that. That's part of who we are as a human race. So let's elevate. We need more elevation. Okay? So help is coming. Are you ready for the help? Friends and family are around you, but they may not be blood relatives, and that doesn't matter. It could be stronger. There's some great messages. Keep them on the high level. Keep them elevated. Keep them constructively critical if they are going to be critical. And those are the main messages for the soul, for the not just for the month ahead, but I would say for the rest of this year. I'm going to take a quick drink here, and I'm going to get my singing bowl out. Before I do that, please, if you enjoyed what you saw here, click the subscribe button. I notice a lot of times people forget, and I would love to do that before we meditate. If you can hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs up. And let's go into a powerful meditation. I hope you stick around for this. If you don't, it's available on replay, but please do. And because you might miss it if you do step away, all my social media links are posted below the video, so I'd love for you to join me across social media as well. But if you can stick around, stick around. Okay. In this meditation, I want to kind of do a play off of the Pleiades. By the way, I got an email this morning too as I was putting together my thoughts about the Pleiades, and I guess there's a Perseid, I hope I said that right, meteor shower that's coming through. I think it's already kind of reached its highest point. It was last night, so it's not probably accidental that I was paying attention to like meteors and stars in my dreams, but that's something that you can do if you want to stargaze. And it also is probably why there's a lot of movement happening energetically. So I want to focus on the stars in our meditation, and I'd love for us to, instead of getting lost or whatever, what if we have the help and the support of friends and family in this cosmic dance that we're going to do, and we can elevate, we can also come back down. Let's make this not a sort of sad myth, because with a lot of Greek, Roman, and really any mythologies, usually there's something sad about it and tragic. This is not tragic. This is about finding your power, being able to see a higher perspective, and then bringing that star energy onto the earth. So we're going to be the magician in this and sort of like rewrite the story. Close your eyes, please, and see yourself at the top of a mountain using multiple images that we had today. And I want you to imagine that this is far away from any city, that it's maybe up in the Himalayas or it's in Iceland away from everything, so that you can actually have an unadulterated view of the cosmos. No pollution, no city lights. It's just the beautiful sky above you, and it's really crisp and clear air. As you're looking up and you're also kind of scanning all the beauty around you, you realize what a beautiful planet this is, how much diversity there is in life and opinions and energy, and you're celebrating that diversity. And as you sit up here looking at the stars above you, I want you to feel also a kinship with that, because we're made from star stuff. Everything in this galaxy is constituted from at least one, if not many, stars that have gone supernova. And so we literally have in our blood stardust. So we are stars. And as we look up at the stars, we can connect with that energy. Imagine that as you're meditating, you're calling in maybe ancestors, maybe friends or chosen family from this lifetime. And you're around a small little campfire here. And I want you to hold hands and see the light between all of you sort of growing, and this beautiful, even fiery energy at the middle starting to grow and to glow. And you see that all of you are creating this sort of beautiful star. If you wanted to, you could have 6 different friends and you could make a beautiful 6-pointed star with an arrow pointing in both directions. And you could see the light at the center kind of feeding into those different directions. And now as each of you are holding hands, imagine that your physical bodies can stay on the planet. We're going to switch up the Onondaga myth a little bit here. Your bodies are grounded, they're anchored, but your souls and your spirits are going to kind of elevate. And it's almost like they're on a little, like flying from a kite string. So there's a string attached so you can get back into your body, but you see these beautiful spheric sort of energy globs going up into the sky. And as you look from afar, kind of, because you have the ability to look from your body, to look from back here, to look from above, you see that you're almost creating your own constellation, your family, your star family. And if you haven't met them yet, if you're like this person at the table that's waiting for them to come, hold spaces around you, create the star anyway, and see how many people you want in that constellation, and call them in this exercise, in this meditation. Let's call in your star family, okay? So I want you to take a deep breath, inhale. See yourself up in the sky. See this beautiful, literal sort of star, 6 or 7 pointed at least. And I want you to see, leaving room for new people to come in, seeing your own light, seeing all the different colors of light, because every star can shine with a different color and with a different luminosity. And as I play the singing bowl, I want you to celebrate your family, past, present, and future. Take a deep breath. See yourself in this cosmic family, holding hands, dancing if you wish you'd like to dance in the sky. Beautiful sort of collection of light moving, growing and finding its space and finding its place in this universe. See your earthly bodies and allow yourself now to drift back towards your body, bringing with you this sense that you're not alone. Whether the people are alive or they've passed, or if they're yet to come, you see them, you feel them, you know they're here. Your family is around you always. And again, you can choose to elevate and find a different family if the one that was assigned to you doesn't feel right. As you get back into your body, I want you to have this sense of light, lightness and brightness of being. And also that you can deal with what's ever coming in front of you. You can always kind of get the perspective that we did today, and to kind of own this cosmic royalty that you have. I mean, you're divine. We're all part of the divine energy, but we forget that sometimes. We let people put us down or make us doubt ourselves, or we feel less than. So hopefully in this meditation, you connected with your higher self and you felt like you were home and that you have that ascended soul that we saw here, okay? Take a deep breath, and before you wake up, actually, before you come back to non-meditative state, rub your hands together, sit up tall, put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that, and make a promise to yourself. What is it you want to do? What is it you want to honor this month and through the rest of this year? And feel that you're planting that energetic seed in your heart, and that you're going to do something special, a little bit of work each and every day to bring that to the next phase, to the next level. And on the next exhale, you can gently open your eyes. And welcome back, everybody. Super magical today. I knew that when I had to look up the Pleiades that it was going to be a different type of reading for your sign today, but probably one of my favorites this month or in a while, because I love kind of going into a different space. I think a lot of times we get way too practical on stuff, and it's important to go deeper into the soul stuff. And there was something, for whatever reason, my guides were very insistent that I looked up that myth. So thanks to my guides, and thanks to you for showing up. For anybody that I noticed that we just got a contribution. For anyone that's done a super sticker, thank you so much, or super chat. It only works in the live sort of reading, but if you want to join in later, you can do that through Patreon or PayPal. My PayPal address is actually just my name. It's paypal.me at Nicholas Ashbaugh. And of course, you can also join me on Patreon. And for those of you that have green text here, you can also just click the join button. That's another option. There's so many different ways to give back. All of those are super helpful. And the join button is literally just the word join, and it's under the video. I'd love for you to join me on social media. This is free and it helps. So first of all, if you haven't already clicked like and subscribe, do that. Makes a big difference in discoverability of this video. And so if you just want to help other people find this, click the thumbs up and subscribe. Otherwise, feel free to join me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok even. And what I'm trying to do on the top two is I will put stories out that remind you of upcoming videos. On YouTube, I use the community tab, which is a good reason to be subscribed. And I put a photo of the stickies and things there, and I use the community tab. I do some behind the scenes stuff here. You can let me know on TikTok if you want to see something different. And on Patreon, I will summarize high-level things and post important reminders there. And again, it's just a way to give back as little as $1. It all helps. My name on all social media, major platforms, is at Nicholas Ashbaugh, no spaces. And Twitter is the only one that I have a different one at the moment. It's at an Ashbaugh. And if you forgot any of the above, just go to my website, nicholasashbaugh.com. All of this information, by the way, is available on the main YouTube channel page. So if you just click on like about, I think it's all there. Click on my channel, then click on about. You should see all of the links there. Thank you so much. Again, this was a super magical reading. I feel also like my own energy has been lifted. So that's always appreciated. I can see there was a lot of love and support in the room today as well. So thank you so much. Thanks to both Ryan and Maria for your assistance today, for all of these beautiful stickers that are coming through as I'm talking right now. I will be back again. This is Thursday. I'll be back again tomorrow. And let's see, if I'm doing Leo today, I'll be doing Virgo next. And you can check out the full schedule on my website. And once you subscribe, you can also see that I'll use stories to remind you on YouTube. All right. Much love and light, everybody. I'll see you again tomorrow. And I can't wait to see what the next messages are as I go to sleep tonight and see what's coming through. All right. Take care. Bye-bye, guys.